Always drive your properties, or somebody needs to drive your properties for you and check on them to make sure that everything's okay. We're trying to find dead space. We're trying to find things to be able to figure out how to move walls, move locations of different items to be able to add a master bath to this property. But the truth, when you buy hoarder houses or really nasty ones like these, that how much do you have to go as far as ripping stuff out? Hey everybody, I'm Tarl Yarber with Fixated Real Estate, and check out this hoarder house. No, this is not an episode of Hoarders, but I'm going to show you how we bought this property and made over $61,000 net profit on this house by the time we cleaned it up, polished it up, and made it much more beautiful. This was a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,000-square-foot home that we turned into a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home in SeaTac, Washington. Now, we bought this property for $190,000. Now, we bought it from a wholesaler. Now, buying it from a wholesaler just means that this person tied it up under contract, a purchase and sales agreement, and then sold me the contract for a fee. Now, I love this story about this particular wholesaler because he was somebody that was coming to our meetups and working with us a little bit. They were really helping out. They asked a lot of questions. They wanted to learn more about real estate. And so we gave him some advice, show him how to do it a little bit. And he went out there and found this property on his own, driving for dollars, and then brought it to us, and we paid him a $10,000 assignment fee for this property. Now, he got $10,000, we got the property, and we ended up buying it for $190,000 total. So first and foremost, you can see here on the right, it's kind of hard to see, but there's actually a very busy road to the right of this property. It's actually a total 4-lane road. It's actually a major thoroughway to go from one side of a freeway all the way into near SeaTac Airport, not too far away. A lot of people drive on this road every single day, and it's always busy. So if we're going to do comps, comparables on this property to find other 3-bedroom, 1-bath homes and see what this property was worth after we fixed it up, and we don't take into account that there's a busy road, we can get really, really hurt financially on the back end of this property if we comp it wrong. So here's your first pro tip for the day. Make sure when you're comping properties, you're comping all things on a property, not just the bedroom, bathroom, and square footage. What's the neighbors like? Do you have a junkyard next to you? Are you next to a really busy road? Do you have a garage? Do you not have a garage? Right? Those are all things that you have to be able to take into account when you're comparing properties, especially if you're putting your money on the line, hoping that it's going to sell for a certain amount. So you can see that the roof is totally messed up. It's actually pretty faded up on top. That's a little hard to see from these photos too much. The yard is just trash, like nasty trash. The outside does not do the inside justice. The inside is far worse than this. And there's going to be a little bit of work that's needed. So this is a mud pit. You can tell we bought this in the winter in Seattle, Washington. Yes, this is actually what Seattle, Washington looks like all the time in the winter. And outside of that, yes, Seattle, Washington. That's why I live in Maui right now. And one day maybe I'll go back. But the backyard's totally messed up. There's actually a nice barbecue back there. So that's something that's always a nice treasure when you find hoarder houses. Only things to take care of and so forth. There's that busy road. Actually, I wonder if you can see it. There it is. There's part of the busy road as well that I had mentioned. This fence is definitely an issue. So another quick tip when it comes to that stuff is that when you have really busy roads off to one side of the property, it's good to just have either a lot of vegetation or very strong fences and so forth. That helps gives a buffer to help try not to detract this from the sale too much because there's a busy road next to you. So let's go inside the house. First, when we walk in, you can tell it's kind of messed up. You can also tell that there is popcorn ceiling on the ceiling. So when we're going through our scope of work and our comps, we're also trying to see, do the comps say that can we have popcorn ceiling or not? Most of the times, if we're trying to get a higher end value, we want to get rid of that popcorn ceiling. So we're going to have to add that to the scope of work for sure. There's a lot of junk. This is right after we purchased it. And one of the other red flags when it comes to hoarder houses is, unfortunately, this here. This is a giant cat tower with cat food still in it, even though they don't live in the property anymore. So this property, as you can imagine, just from that little note right there, they had a lot of cats and cat hoarder houses always smell the best. They smell the most like money, in my opinion. So all this shredded up stuff down here, everything all over the place, everything soiled up. There's me looking bored, playing on my phone. Somebody else took these photos. It was actually Nate. Lots of stuff going on in it, lots of garbage. This place was pretty nasty. It smelled really, really bad. This is the garage. as well. We had a lot of stuff we had to take care of out of here. So much stuff. Can't even imagine how much crap is in this house. No, how do you even deal with a house like this? How do you figure out what's wrong with it? How do you find what's the infrastructure issues? How do you know what the floor plan should be when it's really hard just to even walk through the property to begin with? So some of the things you can do, even though there's a hoarder house like this, you can make some wild assumptions, right? We can look in the attic space and look for structural stuff. We can look at the crawl space and look for structural stuff. We can look at the electrical. We can look at the plumbing. We can look at the infrastructure of the property itself and see if the property's sound and if there's any major issues with it. That we can do, whether it's a hoarder house or not. What we can't do is figure out how bad the finishes are, if there's any other damage hidden behind the walls or anything along those lines. So if that's the case, we always make some very large assumptions. Some of those assumptions are assuming that we're saving absolutely nothing inside this house. When you have a really nasty hoarder house like this that smells really bad, and this is by far not the worst hoarder house I've ever purchased. This one was pretty tame. It just smelled really bad. We're going to assume we're saving no base, no trim, no doors, no finishes, no cabinetry. We're going to kills everything, which we'll go over in a minute. We are going to save nothing. So that means that we can automatically estimate that we're doing everything. It makes it a little bit easier for budgeting and allows us to put a little bit more buffers in there. And it's a bonus if we can save anything, which we probably aren't going to on most of these properties. So going through it, you can see it's still more junk, lots of stuff to go through. The house isn't too bad floor plan wise, which I'll show you, but this is a giant bathroom. So this is actually a bonus for us. Huge bathroom. There was also a washer and dryer room that was actually very big too as well. And we're trying to find space in order to be able to possibly add another bathroom somewhere. When you have a giant bathroom in this particular house and you also had a giant washer dryer room that were right next to each other, it kind of gave us hope that we could probably find a way to add a master bath. Now, after going through all these photos, there's not much more to really deal with. You just know there's a ton of junk. Let me show you guys the floor plan. All right, so here's the floor plan. So the front door of the house is here, right? You got a living room, you got a fireplace. You also have your little kitchen, and here's that garage that we were in that was full of tons of stuff. Now, the big thing that I want to show you guys is this here. There's a giant bathroom, and there's a giant washer dryer area. There's 3 bedrooms in this area too. We're trying to find dead space. We're trying to find things to be able to figure out how to move walls, move locations of different items to be able to add a master bath to this property. All of our comps said that we needed to make this property a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home with a master suite. Now, when we look at this here, we see we have a big bathroom and we have a big washer dryer room, and we also have a garage. So we've done enough properties like this that we figured out, like, hey, why can't we move the washer dryer over to the garage? A lot of people are used to taking, especially a house in this particular neighborhood, a rambler or a rancher, they're used to taking their washer and dryer and putting it into the garage to begin with. Right now, sure, it's nice to have a laundry room. However, it's not totally needed. It's more important to have a master suite. Now, this bathroom is really big. It's almost a 9 by 7.5 foot bathroom, which is a big bathroom for this area. So we know that we can take some of this space and we can take this washer dryer area. And we also know that all the plumbing is in this location of the property too. So that's another key thing. So when we're looking for things, and this is a pro tip, we're looking for dead, wasted space or big rooms that we can take from to be able to add additional rooms or additional bathrooms to a particular area. The other thing we're looking for is loads. Now, load walls are very challenging to move unless you beam them, put the proper posts and footings and so forth. That's why a lot of people get in trouble, is because they take out the wrong walls in their properties. So if you don't know what a load wall is or what your property's engineering needs to be or anything like that, and you don't have the skill set for that, that's where your professionals come in. You can talk to the right architects, engineers, highly qualified contractors, the right ones. There's a lot of unqualified ones out there to be able to help you figure that out. Now, this is a rancher / rambler home, depending on what part of the world you're in, and it's just a giant rectangle. Now, on all of these, almost always all of these, there's one load wall down the center of the house. Now, this particular property, and don't quote me on this, okay? I'm watching you. I'm telling you from my experience on this particular property, the load wall is right here. That's why this kitchen has a wall load here, and it's why there's actually beams up in this area as well, and there's a hidden one up in this location up here too. So we know that the load's there. So we want to do everything we can to not touch this wall, and if we open up this wall for the kitchen, then we're going to need to beam it, post it, all that great stuff with a footing. So with that in mind, we know we need to only work with certain locations of the property or certain portions of the property in order to be able to add bathrooms and baths and that type of stuff. So what did we do? We decided to get rid of this entire washer dryer area and add a new bathroom there instead. So we added a hall bath there, and we took the old bathroom that was here and made a little bit smaller bathroom and turned it into a master suite so we can get a bigger bedroom. Now, like I said earlier, we found out that this is the major load area, which meant these walls this way were not load on this property, so we can move them around really easily with our contractors. One more time, definitely consult professionals when it comes to this stuff. Don't just go knocking shit out. We also didn't like on this as-built here that there's 3 closets in one area here with no real like big bedroom closets, master closet, or anything like that. So we took some space and made that into a little bit better closet area. And we decided to add a coat closet over here instead because there's too big of a closet in this room. So we just switched it around and added a coat closet there. So something that I learned a long time ago, many years ago when I was newer to this business, we used to rehab these properties and floor plan design them, and we'd always forget to add coat closets or anything like that because I'm a dude, and for whatever reason, I wasn't thinking about it until we hired Serena, who's way smarter than me, and she decided to say, hey, it'd be really dumb to keep flipping these houses and never having closet space anywhere. So we always make sure now, if we take away closets, especially coat closets that you could put, cleaning stuff in, vacuum cleaners, that kind of stuff, we need to add it somewhere else. And that's been a mistake I learned many years ago. So we didn't do what HCTV normally does and open up the kitchen wall. Why? This whole area here is actually not that big of an area. And if we knocked out this wall, it would make the kitchen very challenging to make it flow correctly. It's also not big enough to add a peninsula here or anything like that to expand it. So we decided to keep this wall here and just get rid of this wing wall that was there just to kind of open it up a little bit more and make it a traditional galley style kitchen and move the washer and dryer over here instead. So pretty basic floor plan. Add a master suite, move a couple walls, move the washer dryer over into the garage, right? Make the kitchen more functional, and then do a ton of cosmetic cleanup, including also electrical and plumbing updates on this entire property. All right, so I want to show you guys when we did this rehab, there's a few things that we did that really helped us out. One is, I said earlier, there's a lot of smell on this property. Now, one major pro tip that I'm going to give you on here is something that's been a tried and true strategy for us when it comes to getting rid of horrible smells from hoarder houses. There's a lot of ways to do this. Some professionals do it different ways. For us, this has worked for us for many years, and it works really well. First, get everything out of the property that smells, right? Which is pretty much all the garbage, trash, all that stuff. Get rid of all the base, get rid of all the trim, get rid of all the flooring. Usually a lot of the smells are trapped in there, especially carpet. So here's the real pro tip. We use oil-based kills and ozone machines to get rid of most of the smell, if not 100%, if not 1,000% of all the smell in a property at any given time and when we need to. Now, depending on a lot of other variety of things, is there a bunch of feces and urine and soaked in the subfloor and all the stuff that nobody likes to hear, but it's the truth when you buy hoarder houses or really nasty ones like these, that how much do you have to go as far as ripping stuff out? So sometimes you have to rip out all the sheetrock. Sometimes you just have to get rid of all the stuff. Sometimes you have to rip out the subfloors. We've even pressure washed the inside of houses before because it's been so bad. Once that's all said and done, we always, when it's this smelly, use oil-based kills, 2 coats at least, and then an ozone machine to wrap things up. I can promise you right now that that's probably going to get rid of 99% of the smells that are in houses at any given time if you need to. Best to do that at the beginning of the property. So jumping into some of the rehab and what happened there, you can see that jumping in this house here, you can see we're doing some new sheetrock. We also got rid of all those popcorn ceilings, and we're already skim coating stuff on this house. And we did kills everywhere. The floors are all white now and shiny. Everything's been ripped out. All the subfloor was taken out of the kitchen for a lot of reasons. There's subfloor missing in some other areas too because it was pretty bad. But we were kills everything. And any places we need to rip out sheetrock, we just went ahead and did it because it was so bad. When it came to framing, this was the washer dryer area that I mentioned earlier on the property. There was a coat closet here that we removed, and we decided to add the extra bathroom in there. So this is where there was a door that went to the outside area of this property. So here's the thing: if we're going to add a window somewhere, right, we might as well add it where the doorway was. Now this isn't in the middle of the room. You might want to think that's in the middle of the room. However, there was already a doorway here, and instead of having to do more siding than we need to, and so forth, we decided to put the window where the door already was. It makes it a little bit easier for the actual siding and exterior work, in the most part, and also for the framing because they just got to fill it back in. You can see we have a lot of galvanized plumbing here. We're going to have to rip out. So galvanized plumbing is not necessarily bad, but on this particular property, had a ton of it. It was pretty rusted and nasty. So we actually replumbed the whole property, including rewiring it. And then this is the part I always like when it comes to framing and opening up properties. The doorway for this room used to actually be right here in this area here, and we moved it over. And this is where that space was. There used to be a wall here, and this used to be the big bathroom. So the big bathroom used to be this giant area, and we got rid of all of it and made the bedroom a little bit bigger and pushed that wall there. And you can start seeing how much space that we got from doing that. So we could put, here's the doorway, we could put a master bath, and we can also put a new bedroom there as well, making it a much more functional floor plan and with a master suite. Now I'm about to go over the numbers with you guys in detail so you can see how we calculate this stuff out. And I'm also going to go over a major thing that really screwed us on this property, that was completely unexpected. I almost think that I'm supposed to have all the bad stuff happen to me on these properties so that way I can teach you guys and have great learning lessons for you. It's not something I really like having learning lessons on, but we really, really got messed up by the city on this one. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that here in a little bit. But before I get into any of that, I want to show you guys the final photos and how this beautiful property turned out. And voila, here we go. Much, much different property, right? Now, when you look at this thing, you might go like, how come, Tarl, you cheapened out and you still have gravel and you didn't put a driveway in and, oh, you suck at what you do. I know some of you guys are watching this thing that, and you don't put any cement or asphalt or something. I would have totally done that. We get to the point on a property sometimes and you go, wow, we spent enough money on this thing. And is this, if doing a driveway, going to detract or attract more into the sale? Okay, it probably would add to the sale. Would it add value and make the house sell for more? Well, I didn't think it would because a lot of houses in this particular neighborhood had gravel driveways. So I wasn't about to spend another couple $1,000 just to put asphalt in this thing or cement in this thing for maybe not getting any value out of it. So I cut the cord on that one for sure. But we did put a fence to be able to separate the actual road. So I talked about that earlier. We built a fence to the side instead, so that way we can not have that road right there staring at you. There's also a bus stop like right here too. This was all kind of here. We did the best we could to make it prettier, but we didn't want to spend any more money on the outside that we could. But as you can tell, the house is very pretty and turned out well with the finishes. This brick was always there. We just brightened it up. You can paint brick. You can. You just have to do it right. There's certain masonry paint that you can use, different primers that you can use as well to be able to make it last longer and actually not chip and peel. So despite what those naysayers might say out there, you can paint brick. You just got to do it right. It's very important. Everything on this house became brand new for the most part. All the new windows, electrical, plumbing, all that stuff. We even sided the entire back of the house was because it was totally rotted out and messed up. Going into it, boom, looking great. New laminate floors, obviously new paint, did a lot new sheetrock and stuff, as well as skim coating everything, getting rid of that no smell in this house. What you don't want, smells are important. You don't want to do all this great work and walk into this beautiful home and have it smell like dog. So definitely take the time to do what's right to get rid of the smells and hope that they never come back because you did it right. So I do none of these finishes. I never pick any of them out. Our teammates do that. We also have the realtors figure that out as well for us, but it looks really, really nice. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. This is our modern, tone house as well. It's beautiful crackled glass stuff that people do, whatever. Bedrooms look great. There's that master suite looking awesome. Got some little tile going up and down there. I did not design any of that. And maybe I should be involved in these things more, but I'm not. This is just, I hire other people to do it. We also decided to go the modern route here. I guess they call this the 1 2/3 route or something like that. I don't know. It's very European to me. We have this little bench here because we had that extra space. Whatever. Looks good. So one little tip too is that this is a wash. This is the wet wall. So the bathroom on the other side, if you would have noticed, also has the plumbing on the same wall. That's another way to save money too, is that the plumbing for all the plumbing on both bathrooms are on the same wall. Typically, you need a 2x6 wall for that too, to make it right. Bedroom turned out great. We put a new fence on the backyard too here to be able to separate the road. That big tree needed a lot of trimming, and we just turned it into a nice backyard. We put seed in the grass here, but it was the time of year that it wasn't really going yet. Okay, so let's talk about the final numbers on this house. How did we do? Now, we bought it for 190. We thought we were going to put 85,000 into it, and we thought it would sell for $375,000. Now, what did we actually do on this house? Well, let me go to my trusty little spreadsheet here. I'll show you guys step by step. I use this sheet all the time. It's my favorite sheet. It's fast, quick, all this stuff. There are a ton of sheets out there you can use to be able to figure out P&Ls, profit and loss sheets. So for this one particular on flips, we bought it for the exact dollar amount, including closing costs, for $190,857. That includes the $10,000 assignment fee that we paid our friend, the wholesaler, to. Now, we also, instead of putting $85,000 into it, we spent exactly $84,148 on rehab. And the best part of all, it sold for over asking for $390,625. Now, what are all these other weird numbers down here mean? Well, there's something unlike other people might tell you, is that there's actually some real costs to investing. So how do you pay for the money? There's the holding costs. There's all the fees. There's all the transaction stuff. If you buy a property for $200,000 today and sell it tomorrow for $210,000 on the market, you lost money. Now, I'll say that again. If you bought a house for $200,000 today, put it on the MLS, and sold it for $210,000 tomorrow, you lost money, right? Why? There's real estate commissions, there are escrow fees, there's title insurance, there's all sorts of stuff, transactional fees, taxes, property taxes. In our state, there's an excise tax, 1.78% of the value. You lose money. So, because of all these fees, let's go over these fees for a second. We average out utilities and landscaping because we do that all the time. But we also have our insurance and our property taxes. And it took us a total of time of 7 months from purchasing it, permitting, rehab, and putting it on the market. Now, this house did not sell as fast as we thought it would. And I'm going to show you exactly why. And for lack of a better word, it's called getting screwed over by the city. And I'm going to show you why that they screwed us over here in a minute. It really sucks. Kind of a funny story looking back on it. But they kind of screwed us a bit on that one. So total holding costs for our hard money, we borrowed private money at 2.10%, that at $265,000 loan, that equates to $2,200 a month interest payment for the cost of money. Now, over 7 months, all these holding costs equate to $19,562. Now, we also paid 2 points for that money. So that's another $5,300 in costs, in fees, on top of all the other stuff that we have. Now, you could buy this thing cash. And if you bought this thing completely cash, you can get rid of these holding costs here and you can get rid of these points, which might equate to about another $16,000, give or take, in profit if you bought the entire property cash. Now, if you don't have that type of cash lying around, or you have lots and lots of projects like we do, we leverage our properties through financing them. I suggest you do the same. Now, selling costs, this is the one that always pisses me off the most, to be honest, is we also sold the property. Now, we had some costs involved. State of Washington has normal settlement costs. That's your escrow, title, all that kind of stuff, recording fees. And an additional 1.78% of whatever you sold the property for comes right off the top. That's not property taxes. That's not income tax. That's a state of Washington tax. So if you're not in the state of Washington, this probably doesn't apply to you. But 1.78%. So I have to account for that. So that's about 2.3% total cost, or $8,900 in fees just to sell the property. We also pay a real estate commission of 4.5% to this particular broker. A lot of times it's 5% or 6%, depending on who you are. We pay 4.5% because we're cool. So that's another $17,578 in real estate commissions to sell the property on market. And this little thing here, it's called seller concessions. Now, you don't always see these depending on what part of the world you're in, but all that means is that the person that bought it for a set amount, and we also gave them $3,000 back to help pay for their closing costs. In this particular case, we gave them $3,000. Now, we negotiated that typically in. If somebody offers us $385,000 purchase price, and they want $5,000 in concessions, I'd rather have them offer us $390,000, and we'll give them the $5,000 back. So we try to negotiate them as much as possible. But in this case, we gave them $3,000 back, but we did sell it for $390,000. So our actual net is $387,000. Adding all these fees all together, that's a $61,196 net profit over the course of about 6 months, give or take, of work. Now, is that worth it? Yeah, $10,000 a month, not a lot of work involved, pretty easy house, hire the right contractors, make the right plan, find the right property, network with the right wholesalers, and you got yourself a great deal. Probably would be a better deal in the long run if you kept it as a BRRRR, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. So I'm going to go into my final pro tip for you guys, and that involves always drive your properties, or somebody needs to drive your properties for you and check on them to make sure that everything's okay. Now, we listed this property on a Friday morning. Now, on that Friday morning, we put the sign out, everything like that. The realtor did that. Now, we didn't do an open house on this particular property. We didn't think it needed it and so forth. So the realtor never went to the house. Realtor put the sign in on the property on Friday morning. The place went live, went active right away on the MLS. And then it sat there and we didn't see it, and we didn't even go to the property until Tuesday to check on it. Somebody on my team went to go check on it. And when they showed up there on Tuesday, after the first time it's on the market, had a whole bunch of people showing up to it. It was a very exciting property for that neighborhood. We had no offers on it by the end of the weekend, which was very surprising to us considering we had about 30 plus people go to the house on their own to look at it. And we show up on Tuesday, and here is the notice on the door. I'll read it to you. It says, findings, required inspections have not been met, performed per IRC, International Residential Code, and the SMC CTAC Municipal Code. They must be completed. Building permit installation and drywall and re-roof completion at all sub-permits, electrical, plumbing, mechanical. Walls may need to be open for inspection. Signed, inspected by some city inspector who's a bag, and that's from the city of Seattle. City of CTAC. Do not remove this notice. This is what we call a red tag in the industry. Now, why am I upset at this city? Should they be upset for me because they're assuming that I didn't pull permits on this property? Maybe. But I did pull permits on this property. Are they upset at me because I didn't get my inspections? Well, they think I didn't get any inspections, but I got all my inspections. And in fact, I was already signed off and finaled on this property as well. All my permits were completely closed up. I did everything right. But for whatever reason, this particular inspector, because it's a busy road, was driving on the busy road and saw the for sale sign and assumed I was a low life house flipper that didn't pull a single permit on the property at all. So instead of checking on the property records in his own city and municipality, he assumed it was unpermitted and put this notice on the door the day we listed the house. So here you are, homeowners looking for a new home, coming to our property, excited to see this brand new house on the market, listed just fresh, and right there, smack dab right on the door, is a notice from the city of SeaTac saying, this sucker did not pull any permits and it's a crappy house, stay away from it, don't ever buy it. That's pretty much what it says. So that pissed us off. So we get in the city, we started getting attorneys, we got involved. The city immediately pulled this thing, apologized big time, did everything they could to make it right, but there was no way they could make it right because we already lost whatever momentum we had at that time. So it sat on the market a couple more weeks. We got over asking offer on it, which was fine. I could have gone after the city for some sort of damages, but it would have been one of those things that you go to court, maybe settle out, who knows, spend a lot of time, energy, and effort on something that may or may not have played out. I probably would have won something for sure for this because of them affecting the sale on the property. But I also made the judgment call that it wasn't worth the effort and what we could have gotten out of it. Vindictively, I think I should go back in time and actually, go after that inspector. But it is what it is. So all of that, I hope you guys learned something. Make sure you guys keep in touch with your city inspectors and officials to make sure that they like you. But for the most part, this looks like a nice, clean little house. And this, okay, maybe we're not going to be able to negotiate too much on. This is the exact same house. This is what was inside the house. So don't judge a book by its cover. When we roll up on a project, there's some big exterior red flags that we're looking for right away.